How about laser engraving on some painted wood? This is a real neat way to make some interesting looking signs, and it's actually quite a bit easier than you think it is. I'll show you how to do it coming up. Hi, I'm Roger, welcome to the shop, and here I've got the Laserman laser from Flying Bear. That's what we're going to do this little demonstration on. You can paint your sign and then engrave it. There's a little step in between we got to do though to keep things neat looking. And yes, this is another Halloween themed thing, but it's that time of year and I'm putting a lot of things together for the season. So you don't have to use witches and cauldrons and black cats and bats and spiders. You can, maybe you want to do something with Santa Claus or snowmen for Christmas, or hearts and stuff for Valentine's Day, or shamrocks for St. Patrick's Day, Easter eggs, Easter bunnies. Well, I could go on, but you get the idea. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do here. And I'm doing this on cedar fence picket wood, actually. And here's one here. You can buy one of these. They're 6 foot long. That one's got a split in it. The pickings were pretty slim when I went and picked these up. But a 6 foot, nominal 1/2 inch thick, nominal 5.5 inches wide. They're generally run about 5 1/4, 5 3/8. Of course, 6 foot tall, and it's what they call rough sawn. And I run mine through the planer and then sand them, and then cut them into lengths like this here. So that's how I make my signs. They're cheap, $3 and change for one of these. So it's not bad. So what I do then, after I plane it and sand it, is I will paint it. And this particular one's painted orange. But we got to do a little prep work before we actually put this on the laser to engrave something. I'll show you what that is, and it's pretty simple. Okay, first you'll want to make sure that your paint's dry. Next, we're going to use blue painter's tape and remove any cobwebs and spider webs that may have formed on it from sitting in your shop. Just simply, we're going to cover the sign with the blue painter's tape. Now, I won't wait long on that edge down there because there's some sawdust and stuff on the end of the tape. Smooth that down. Try to keep the wrinkles out of it. Now you want this smoothed down real good. For your next layer, you do not want it to overlap. So it takes a little bit of a careful eye. If it does overlap, you don't want more than maybe a 1/64 of an inch. So that's the prep we need to do ahead of time. And just to make it easier for me to find my edges and stuff, I fold the tape over. We're going to be peeling it off later. So now I'll take you over to the computer and we'll find a graphic to put on this. Okay, I need to measure it. So my engravable area that I want to use is, yeah, this one's 5 1/4. And I don't want to get up into the dog ears. I want to stay below that. So I've got 9 1/2. So I got 5 1/4 by 9 1/2 to work with. So I'll set that tool path pattern in my light burn, and I'll show you that as we get on the computer here. Okay, here we are in light burn. I'm set up with the Flying Bear laser. So I want to go up here and get me a box. Make it any size you want, just a box. And we'll go back up here to select. All right, we'll unlock this padlock. I didn't do too bad for guessing the size of the width of that. Change that to 5.25. And we'll change the bottom one to 9.5. So there's our tool path. Go down here, I'll click on T1. Now that doesn't engrave that, that just gives you an idea of where you could put your graphics. So now I need to bring in a graphic. Go up here, let's try some broom parking. Okay, this is, bring that over there and a little bit more in center. So make sure you relock your padlock. And I'll make the height 9 and see, that makes it too wide. So if we set our width at 5, It brings this down a little bit better. Gives me a height of 6.592. I can, this whole thing here, first I want to make sure that's grouped. Then I can center it, my tool path there. Okay, we'll make sure that that there is grouped. And it is already. So we'll highlight this whole thing up here and center it. Gives me a little bit more of a center. Now I may take that down just a little bit. I'll just use the down arrow. You know, my graphic there, take that down just a little bit. But I know it is centered otherwise. So now I can set my layers. So I'll go over here to cuts and layers. All right, I'm not going to be using line. I'm going to be using engrave. So I need to set that. My fill, 3,000 millimeters per minute at 60% power, except this is a 5-watt laser. I'm going to take this to 80%. So we're ready to do some engraving. Next I'll need to find the center of my board and get it set up on the laser. I'll be working from center in absolute coordinates. What I need to do now is find my center point. Of course, we're not using the dog-eared part, so we'll be starting from that corner and going to this corner. Let's make a line. Then go from that corner of the dog ear to this corner. Make a line. Where those cross is center. Before I get started, I'm going to have to set focus. So we'll raise this up. Slide that board underneath. There's a focusing plate they give you. Lay it under the shield. Set that down. Tighten your thumb screw. You put this back in the holder. Move tab. I'm going to go and I'm going to fire that laser at 1% power. And I can center that precisely. My spoil board right there. Then I can take this and bring it underneath and get that centered right on that X. Okay, now I've taken the laser home. So now I can go frame my project. I need to move over a little bit. Okay, I've taken the laser home after getting my center position and making sure everything in there was straight. So now I can frame my project here. Of course, that's showing the entire tool path, so it goes up into the dog ear, but that's fine. So now all I need to do is hit start. Total engraved time on this is 22 minutes and 47 seconds, give or take. Okay, cedar can be a little bit unpredictable when you're engraving it. Sometimes it comes out nice and black, and sometimes you'll end up with it a little bit more brown. One of the nice things about this is that you can just go over this with some flat black paint. What I'll do first is take an air hose and blow out any soot that's in there. Then I'll tape my edges so my edges don't end up black. And then I will give this a quick coating of flat black paint. Okay, as I mentioned, engraving in cedar, Western red cedar, can be unpredictable. Sometimes you get a really nice black engrave, and sometimes it'll be a little more brown. Depends on the grain of the wood. Sometimes you'll get a real interesting texture. For example, on this sign here, with the witches dress, I guess you could call it. It made a really neat texture to it. The same with the cat. This one here, the grain worked out real well. Of course, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see the hair on the witch there, but it worked out real well with the different grains there. Okay, here we had a little bit of an issue with too much of this being a light brown, so by just painting that with flat black paint, I'll be able to pull this tape off now, and then we'll have to do what they call weeding. No, not in the garden. Okay, so you're going to end up with some spots here that you're going to need what they call weeding. If you have a Cricut or a Scylla Cameo, you'll know what I'm talking about. I'm using a little pick here. You could also, a weeding tool would be even better, but I'm too lazy to go upstairs and get it. Just kind of grab it by the corner. Okay, and then inside of your letters, you'll need to weed those little spots out. Don't poke too deep or you'll scratch your paint. You can usually get a corner and you'll make it slide. And you can just grab a hold of it. So I'll get the rest of this weeded. Okay, and once you get everything weeded out of there, it'll look like this. So there's a fun little project you can do on your laser. Again, this is the Flying Bear Laserman laser. And if you'd like to get one of these, it's got a lot of features for an entry-level laser. It does have a fume collection if you happen to be running off the SD card. That works. I know they're working on firmware so that will also function when you're running it from light burner laser girdle, but they don't have that thing ironed out yet. This does have a drag chain. It's got excellent cable management. You don't have cables getting in the way. And it has a nice 400 millimeter square, roughly, work area. And it's accurate, as you can see here. So if you got anything out of this, appreciate getting a thumbs up. Always helps the channel. I will put a link to where you can get these graphics from designbundles.net in the description, as well as where you can get one of these lasers. So until next time, I'm Roger in the shop. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.